Okay, here's another semi-short on thoughts on shorts. This is just a short, under 1 minute thing that's giving some of Randall Carlson and Graham Hancock's views whenever he was on Joe Rogan. And it's just a small little clip of a couple of pieces at one time. We're going to look through this and I'll stop at a couple of points to explain out what we're looking at and what we're talking about. Let's go.
I think we're getting very close to rediscovering some of the. I think we're getting very close to rediscovering some of the things that our ancient ancestors were up to.
Well, what kind of technologies are you talking about?
I think the key thing is we're looking at technologies that are not the same as ours.
Yes.
And that's partly why archaeologists can't see them, because they're looking for us in the past, and they're not open to the possibility that there are whole other kinds of technology that could be used.
Right.
I always go back to the ancient Egypt.
Let's just stop here before we go to that next statement. Once you get too many things, it's hard to go back through each one of them. But here, people have invoked all kinds of things, and this magic that goes on, this idea that somehow just out of popcorn, these people are doing this Neolithic thing, and then they built pyramids, and it just seems like out of nowhere. Whenever Graham and the other guy here know, and Joe knows too, about the ancient site of Göbekli Tepe, and it shows you that they had 5,000 years to come up to it at this point. So it shows something different, but also in the fact that they built the pyramids. I think they built it with that half slope ramp onto it, and then built a corkscrew up for the top part of it, like that Frenchman had actually showed. And they show that there are places, and even whenever you climb it, where you'll reach to a point where there's this little cul-de-sac thing in there. Well, that's filled in kinda, and somebody took a couple of those off there, luckily where you can see it. But that leads right into a shaft that corkscrews up at about 5 to 7 degrees and corkscrews around the thing so you can bring things up levels and levels and fill it off. The weird thing is you can't understand that they actually took scaffolds and built this a lot of times. And that major shaft that's inside of the pyramid that runs up at an angle, that they've got the notches on the side and all the things, if you look at the rock at the very top of it, it looks extremely worn. And to pull extra things up and give you extra power, they would counterweight some weight there and pull things up by doing that. That ramp should probably be right out that wall before that wall was ever built, or the top of the pyramid. Imagine just knocking the top of the pyramid off and seeing that they pulled up all the stones from that point with a help with using that area. It's all kind of crazy and everything, but he thinks and remembers of the Egyptian priests. What does he say here?
Egyptian traditions that speak of priests chanting as these huge blocks were lifted into the air, some kind of use of sound that was able to manipulate matter. We know that sound can manipulate matter, as a matter of fact, but they're lifting these blocks again and again.
Yeah, this idea of being able to direct sound and lift things, in a modern day, we've gotten a hold of this concept, and we can float little bitty small pieces like are seen in this picture here. But you can't put that duress under something that's that big and get it to just pick up off the ground and you can control it or anything, or take some cones and aim it at it, and everybody's got a laser thing going on and all you got to do is speak magic words or anything like this going on. But it's amazing all these different things get evoked in the idea of what these ancient Caucasians were capable of, isn't it? We can show sacred geometry and all the things that go along with that too, but then again you go, okay, there's a physical point here of being able to take something of this size and tonnage and be able to do things with it too. What's the purpose of the pyramids? It's the same reason it's going on now, for people to realize there was a great people, and if something like that ever happened again, people would at least have inspiration to say, well, something like this happened, and as they went through time, just like we have recently, we find out more and more, and then we take our sacred geometry, our geometry, and put it on it and find out they already had that going on. There's even a yard hooked up to it. There's the cubit to this, everything else is all hooked up to it, but also it hooks up to the size of the earth and all kinds of things. And of course, people want to try to dismiss this in modern day and say that just happened because of luck, or because of one of these and a certain size ratio, it ended up making all the others. Well, that's sacred geometry inside of itself. Don't tell me you just think this just happened like whoopsie, like ants were able to dig out a little hole and all of a sudden popped out a car over here. Is that what you're going to go with? Pretty weird to think along those lines too, but that's the direction that they want you to think versus the possibility of Caucasians or advanced things. It's to the point where we invoke aliens quite often in this situation who must have came down and did something because it's so radically advanced, right? Look at it.
Appears in ancient Egyptian traditions. The notion that we could lift huge blocks with sound seems absurd to archaeologists, and yet it's there in the traditions of the Egyptologists. And what Randall's talking about now is people who are working on a whole alternative path of technology, and maybe that's a rediscovery of the kind of
Yeah, here's another idea that they use some technology that over time came lost and we just don't understand it. And because we're so stitched up in what we have going on, no one understands the thing that they used in ancient times or can get any recollection of it. And hopefully one day we'll find something that matches up to it. But also in between there showed a giant picture of a big slab multi-ton that was held up over dolmens. And we can see dolmens dating back to a time just before and up in between of the areas that we went from Göbekli Tepe to this place that's here. Although it's tucked quite a bit more towards Göbekli Tepe, it has that same type of look. When I was a kid and I saw those things, I was like, there's Fred Flintstone's house, because it kind of looks like it. And then you come to find out, Fred Flintstone, he had all these advanced things going on and a rock quarry and all this other going on. And then you find out, hey, those people had rock quarries and all kinds of things. They even had concrete floors. They already had dogs and didn't need Dino, because that didn't really exist. So we get that strange twist on the idea of it there. But oh, did they have wheels and carts? So that was coming soon, but the first thing that happened was sleds. Just like Santa Claus. Everybody in the Northeast was using them, and they come to find out, yeah, they go back way in, there's cave art and everything of them too, but it's exactly what Egypt used too. And they show it, and then they go, that's not it. That couldn't be it. Then okay, well, I know it's 24 tons or whatever, but everybody got around it and screamed a certain note, and if they did, it became less than 10, and they could yank it along. Sorry. Try to yank 10 along. Things that haven't been done here is somebody set out one of those Egyptian statues and take about 6 cranes and lift it up and set it onto a cart so it doesn't smash it totally. And then hook up ropes to it and pour water down like they supposedly do and see if they can even get people, whenever a priest is chanting, just like when you're rowing, and it gives you a cadence to make things move. Were these people only moving at a couple inches at a time? Looks like that would have been the effect off of it. But then again, if you multiply that towards the number of blocks and how they say the Egyptian pyramids were created, you'll find that that won't add up either. They had to be throwing up a block every couple of minutes. There would have had to been this huge factory concept going on, even if you were stealing all the other blocks from other pyramids that no longer exist and just have a shaft sitting in the desert.
technologies that were used by a lost civilization.
And so we invoke this lost civilization, and it gives a bunch of stuff to it. In fact, Graham is currently under fire because he has made that statement a few times. And it's kind of weird, but it's not a lost civilization. It's an unknown thing about a known civilization. Therefore, part of civilization that we know of has been lost. Therefore, it's a lost civilization. So it works out no matter which way you want to try to put it. But the current realm of archaeology have decided to attack Graham, and feeling that because of that attack they can squish this man here in front of you and many others who have ended up showing things which are archaeologically known and try to turn it back off somehow. As supposing the edict is to ruin it all and any type of advancement because we already got it all figured out. Well, people have been doing that for generation after generation and keep thinking that, and even under that foot, look what we've ended up figuring out. So maybe if people took the stupid foot off and then started looking into it and then dismissed it whenever they had something to dismiss, because Younger Dryas has been super confirmed. It's no longer even a thought or a theory or anything else. It's like it happened. Now we need to figure out to the extent of what it is. And with the drill course we've got now, it looks like a huge event that caused something that we can't even realize how mankind or most of the animals live through. But we need to look at this and see what the truth and reality of it all is. But then again, there are people trying to put their foot upon it and go, no, don't even look at this. No, don't look under my foot. Problem is there's too many people who already knew what was under your foot. You're not going to stop it. It's going to actually cause a backlash, which is going to make this go through even stronger, harder, and well known. And we can only hope that you can watch and see people try to put their squishes on top of things, and you'll never see it on the news. Why not? Why wouldn't something this important be on the news? Doesn't fit the narrative, and it says white people did this, that, and the other, and we're currently in the hate mode, where we're supposed to hate the people that are the scions of all civilization and took us to the moon so far. Something's bad about them, but recent primitive that did much more terrible things is fantastic, right? Yeah. Regardless of that all, guys, what do you think about this here? I mean, this is just taking a couple of statements out of there and then putting them together here. If you take their whole concourse where they talk through all these things, it's quite interesting. And believe me, they're being somewhat bland about it, because they're trying to get somebody to at least lean enough far that way. Whenever they get in the middle of it, they go, okay, here's these attachments, da-da-da-da, see? Yeah. But it's a real hard road to get there. In fact, people that know are going to try to put a foot upon it whenever they aren't even aware of his books. They say he's a pseudo-archaeologist. The first thing that I ever saw on Graham was the fact he came out and he goes, I'm not an archaeologist. I'm just a journalist guy that did this, that, and the other and found out this stuff, and here you go. You know? And so they're attacking a straw man, if you will, really. It's kind of sad to watch. But, hey, watch if you will. Let's see if we can make this come out a little more correct. And just at least see. Just at least see, as opposed to trying to put a foot upon something that you don't even know what you're talking about. Let's go ahead and see the extent of this, because this is important to all of humanity. Rather than being something like, oh no, don't pay attention to there, it's like, yes, look at this. And I do not know why that there is so much balk against any of these concepts. And then now that they found all these other things out, it's amazing. Some of these guys that knew about it, 10 years ago or whatever, are turning around and going, yeah, we already thought about it. No. I've seen enough people go, okay, so Göbekli Tepe, and the guy looks at him stupid, and he goes, you don't, Göbekli Tepe, you ever heard of it? They have no clue. You wouldn't believe how many people I've clued in on the fact, hey, Göbekli Tepe, twice the age of anything else here, Stonehenge, carved and everything, better looking than Stonehenge, 10,000 BC, hand covered up, or we would have never found it. Anything that passed then that wasn't covered would have sure been taken long ago. Lucky these little humps that are here. No, it's not just one of them. They got 10 or 12 of these places all across here. It appears to be the largest civilization of ancient times and the largest archaeological dig that we currently have in front of America, or, pardon me, in front of the world. And yet, some people are like, oh, ambiguous. That says things that we don't know. No. I can't believe this is going on. Can you? Enough ranting and whining here. Enjoy. See you soon. Peace.